This is the Giants Postcast, your instant game reaction for the San Francisco Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, or maybe from some of these other Locked On Postcasts we do. But today, the Giants, they rattled off 4 consecutive wins to finish the 2025 MLB season at pure mid 500 for the Orange and Black, sweeping the Colorado Rockies with the win today at Oracle Park 4-0. And really, the biggest news of the day, Willy Adames swatted his 30th home run of the season on the first pitch of this one, becoming the first San Francisco Giant to reach the milestone since Barry Bonds in 2004. Logan Webb, again, brilliant on the bump, finishing the season, leading the National League in strikeouts and innings pitched. And an underwhelming year overall for the San Francisco Giants concludes with a little bit of hope for 2026. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Giants YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're tuning in, we appreciate it. Make sure to check out the Locked On Giants daily show for more in-depth coverage. In this one, just a fun game to end the season on, right? And a couple home runs. Willy Adames, Matt, and Rafael Devers going yard in this one. Matt Chapman with an extra base hit as well. And Logan Webb really shines. And eight Ks for Webby. And while the Adames thing is pretty cool, we can get into that in a minute. I want to start with Logan Webb, man, because Logan Webb has been just, I think, so critically undervalued here in San Francisco. Like I saw a couple of days ago, like someone put in the chat that Logan Webb is like not a bona fide number 1 ace anymore, that he's a number 2 or something. This guy just led the National League in innings pitched and strikeouts. Like, I don't want to hear any arguments about Logan Webb losing anything this year. This guy was awesome all year long, 3.22 ERA on the season. And today, shutout. 3 hits over 5 1/3. And if the Giants were playing for something, you can damn sure bet that Logan Webb would have kept going in this one. He would not have been pulled in that 6th inning. But end of the season, you don't really have a lot to keep playing for. It was nice that they let Webb start this one so that he could secure those numbers to lead the league in innings pitched and to lead the National League in strikeouts. I think those are things that matter to Logan Webb, and it's a nice feather in his cap, right? He's not going to win the Cy Young. That's going to be Paul Skeens. But I'm going to tell you, Logan Webb should absolutely be given more consideration for the award than he's going to be given at a national level. This guy has just been dominant all year for the Giants. Obviously, the win-loss record does not reflect that, only 15-11, but rarely in today's baseball era does win-losses for a pitcher really have much bearing on how that guy actually performed. How many times did we see Logan Webb go out there this year and give up 2 runs or fewer and still somehow end up with a loss? I mean, this guy has been so good for the Giants ever since he came up here as a rookie, and he's really held it down for this pitching staff. I mean, for years at this point. Without Logan Webb, these last couple of years as a Giants fan would have been brutally awful, and they've already been pretty hard. But without Logan Webb, could you imagine? You're basically the Pittsburgh Pirates if you don't have Logan Webb on the San Francisco Giants over these last, 7 years or so. You got to give Webby some credit, man. This guy continuously goes out there and dominates. He has nothing to go out there for other than personal pride. And that's something that I think matters. Logan Webb's a professional. He plays with a level of expectation. Does not matter what the situation is. He expects himself to go out and be great more often than not, every single time. And that's the expectation that should permeate into the rest of this team. And it hasn't quite gotten to the point where we need it yet. But I think you're seeing signs. I think you're starting to see some signs, man. And a good example of that is Willy Adames. And this is a guy who has been not really going great in the middle of September. He was really hot at the beginning of the month and then cooled off substantially. But then he didn't let that streak just crush his season, right? Like, he could have just easily slid out the rest of the season with a really bad last couple of weeks and just kind of mailed it in and then try it again next year, because the Giants were completely out of the playoff race. But he did not do that. He hung in there. He ended up swatting a couple more home runs and becoming the first Giant since Barry Bonds in 2004 to hit 30 home runs. And I'm so glad that we can finally move on from this storyline. It's the same thing as like the Giants not having consecutive starting left fielders in consecutive opening days since Barry Bonds left the team as well. I cannot wait till next year when Elliot Ramos is your opening day left fielder, and we can put an end to that stupid discussion as well, because it's time that we move on from the past with the Giants, right? Like it's a moment that kind of lets you wash off some of that stench of the last few years. And while this season did not go as well as I think a lot of Giants fans expected it to go and hoped it would go, I think that washing some of this stench off of you is important going into next year. You don't want to carry some of this baggage into that season with you into the 2026 season. And I think this is a just one more step in, albeit, kind of a small step, but a step nonetheless towards getting rid of that kind of loser like stench that's been sticking around the Giants for the last 7 or so years. And I think that Willy Adames hitting that mark gives him some confidence going into next year. Maybe he starts next year a little bit better than he did this season. We know he's notoriously a slow starter, but ultimately, I think that it's hard to do much worse than he did this year. So hopefully next year he can be a little more consistent, especially in the field, because that's one thing that you can definitely stay consistent with all season long if you're Willy Adames. The bat's going to ebb and flow, but the glove really came on substantially in the second half of the season for Willy Adames after a very subpar first couple months. So that would be good if he can just at least start the season, ready to go and defensively, and I think he will. And also having Rafi Devers ending the season on a high note with a home run of his own. Devers in the fourth inning, he smacked one, his 35th of the season, and I think that's a solid thing for Rafi Devers too, because it took this guy a while to get comfortable here in San Francisco. We saw that after the trade, and I think that these two guys ending the season on a high note, 3 if you want to throw Logan Webb in there, but I don't think we had any questions about Webby going forward. But specifically for Willy Adames and Rafi Devers, I think that ending the season on a high note is very important, because these are two guys who you're going to lean on every single day next year. This is the core of your team, the middle of your order. If these two guys don't go next season, the Giants aren't going to go either. So you need both Rafi Devers and Willy Adames to continue to play the way that they've been playing in these last couple games for much longer stretches of time next season than they were able to put it together for this season. But you saw pretty substantially when these guys got hot that the Giants started winning games. And that's kind of the recipe for success for this team. Again, this is a team that when they would score runs, won a lot of games. When they hit home runs, they win a lot of games. The Giants this year have been really, really, really good when they can just give guys like Logan Webb a little bit of run support. When they hit 2 or more home runs, as they did this year, or this today in the final game of the series, they're 37-9 on the season. 37-9 when you hit 2 or more home runs. When you score 4 or more, as they did today, 64-27. This team just needs to get over that threshold to the 4 runs. And we've talked about this before. When they score 3 or fewer, 17-54. It is night and day difference. That is the threshold. If you can just average 1 more run a game for 10, 15 games out of the season, the Giants are going to be a playoff team next year. They are so close. Willy Adames and Rafael Devers getting hot at the right time and like having a full season in a Giants uniform and actually delivering from April, starting in April, can deliver that even without the Giants upgrading, which they absolutely should do next year. I'm not advising that this team go into next season with the roster constructed the way it is, because you need to patch some holes. But these two guys are the most important players on the Giants right now, and they're going to be the 2 most important players on the Giants next season. If Willy Adames and Rafi Devers can hit home runs and drive guys in, the Giants are going to be a good baseball team. If they struggle at the dish, Giants are going to struggle as well. We got to take a quick break here, but on the other side, we got to talk about, the rest of the Giants. We've only talked about 3 of these guys so far. We got to get into some end of the year thoughts, give you a turning point from today, a player of the game, all of that fun stuff coming up next here on the Locked On Giants postcast. Today's show is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. And if you know anything about my life, as I like to share a lot on this show, I'm constantly tired. I'm constantly busy, constantly running around in between all my different jobs and all these things I got going on. I always feel like I got like 17 different balls in the air at the same time. And it's hard to get through the day without some caffeine, man. And I hate having to pull the e-brake on what I'm doing, go find a coffee shop and wait in line for 10, 15, 20 minutes and paying all that money for just a cup of coffee. It's so much easier and more tasty to just go with the 5-Hour Energy Shot, conveniently located right in my pocket whenever I need it, and accessible at any point in time. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. And today's show is also sponsored by Zippix toothpicks. Whether you're looking for nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with their nicotine and caffeine-infused toothpicks. For nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy cravings and the hand-to-mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping, available in 6 great flavors with 2 milligram and 3 milligram nicotine options. And if you need energy without the crash, their caffeine toothpicks are a game changer. And as I was just discussing, I cannot get through a day without caffeine, and Zippix is a nice, discreet way to get that fix. You don't really got to stop what you're doing. It's accessible in pretty much any situation, and their flavors are pretty good, man. I actually really like their peppermint watermelon ice. It tastes great. And so go to zippixtoothpicks.com, use code LOCKEDON for 10% off your first order. It must be 21 or older. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com, promo code Locked On. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix toothpicks. And today's show is sponsored by Nutrafol. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There's so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And coming from a guy in his early to mid-30s with some thinning and some shedding going on, I'm all on board with anything that's going to help pull the e-brake on me losing my hair. So make sure you go check out the good people at Nutrafol. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month, subscription, and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Giants finish off the season with a 4-0 win over the Rockies. A nice way to end the year with 4 consecutive wins. And if you were one of the many people like me who got in on the Giants 80.5 over win total, you're celebrating pretty hard today. And I know I am. I know a few other people are out there as well that listen to the show. So if you rode that hype train, it's been an adventure, and it paid off at the end. But the Giants ultimately pure mid to finish the season, 81-81. And ultimately, it's not where you want to be. This team, the roster is better than that. They should have absolutely had, I think, at least 85 wins this year. I think that's totally reasonable to expect from this team. And if you got to that mark, you're in the playoffs. You're sitting there looking at the Reds right now, thinking there's no way that the Reds are like that much better than this Giants team. The Giants absolutely had a shot at the postseason in that middle of September, really crushed them. You also had brutally awful stretch, which I reference all the time during the season, but it really played a major role in how this one ended up. I mean, when the Giants lost all those games to the Marlins at home, when they got swept by the Marlins, and then you go to Chicago and you lose a series to the White Sox of all teams, you don't deserve to go to the playoffs. When you can't beat the Pittsburgh Pirates at home, you don't deserve to go to the playoffs. When you have a record that is absolutely abysmal against every team in your division, not named the Colorado Rockies, you deserve to miss the playoffs. The Rockies were the only team in the NL West that the Giants could beat with any sort of regularity this year, and the Rockies had 119 losses. So everybody beat the Rockies pretty regularly this year. That's nothing to be proud of in that sense if you're the Giants. You ended up playing down to a lot of your competition. You beat a lot of teams that were better than you, though, in the process. You can see what the potential of this team is. It just needs to all start working. And one of the main things that the Giants need to do in the offseason is go get some pitching help. And I think that's what you're going to be talking about after this one.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And honestly, I mean, the Giants really need some additional arms in that starting rotation. You obviously got to rebuild the bullpen as well. I cannot have Ryan Walker closing out games next season. That it absolutely cannot happen. The Giants need to find who their closer is going to be, especially since Randy Rodriguez is not going to be that guy, given that he's going to have the Tommy John surgery. So that's a huge part of this equation for the Giants. That bullpen was so good early in the season, and it's really what kept this team afloat through some tough times when their offense was just nowhere to be seen, missing on the back of a milk carton. And if you're able to get a few more quality starts as well, I think that would be very, very helpful. Who knows if Verlander is going to come back next year? I think that's still a to be seen kind of situation. I think the Giants would like to have him back based on how he ended the season. But ultimately, you got Webb and Ray and Verlander, and then what? Like you got to figure it out. And Landon Roop, we did not see a lot in the second half of the season, but he was great in the first half. You hope that he can come back and factor into the equation of the starting pitching staff and look similar to how he did in the months of April, May, and June. And I think they'll be okay if that's the case. But after that, it's still a question mark. And I think the Giants kind of need just one more solid starter. And whether or not they can find that in free agency or they're going to have to go out and trade for that guy, I'm not sure. You do have some options in the free agent market this year that the Giants could go pursue. Michael King out of San Diego is probably going to generate a lot of interest from a lot of different teams, including the Giants. So we'll see who they pursue in this offseason. There's a couple other names out there, like a Sonny Gray kind of situation, but I don't know if you want to go after a 35-plus-year-old guy and pay him all that money for a one-year rental kind of situation like the Giants have done in the past. Maybe you want to try and go get a guy that you can control for the next 3-ish seasons so that you can kind of open that playoff window a little bit and see where it takes you. And ultimately, though, the Giants, you're going to have to add in free agency, and that's just the pitching staff. We also need to see what the Giants are going to be able to do in right field, at second base. I mean, maybe even left field. Some people are really unhappy with the way that Elliot Ramos had so many bonehead blunders this season with his base running errors and just bad situations in the field and throwing errors and just weird stuff happening with Elliot Ramos running around out there in left field. But ultimately, I think that he did enough to secure that job going into next season. I think there are much other glaring holes in this Giants team right now. Catcher, another one. You got to bring in someone to challenge Pat Bailey back there. Can't have a guy with an OPS just barely over 600 and who's batting 222 on the season with how many home runs did Pat Bailey have? Like 5 home runs this year. And especially with the ABS system, he had 6 home runs this year. When with the ABS system coming in next season, Pat Bailey's value decreases a lot. It's not in the floor, framing will still be a thing, but it's not going to be nearly as effective as it is this season and any other season in the 100-plus-year-old history of baseball prior. So you're going to need to bring in someone to compete with Pat Bailey and compete for the starting job in right field as well. Second base, I think that you go with Schmidt, but again, who knows with what you see in free agency and who's available via trade. Maybe you can go upgrade at that position, but second base isn't really there's not a lot out there to go and get that's going to be better than Casey Schmidt, in my opinion, especially offensively. So maybe the Giants just roll with what they got at second, but you still got a lot of other things that you can upgrade all around this team. And I expect the Giants to be better than 500 next year. I really do. I don't expect the Giants to just compete for a playoff spot next year. I expect them to be in the postseason. And this year, I don't think it's a complete wash. I don't think that this season is just a complete loss for the Giants. I do think that you took some positive steps forward, right? Like you played competitive games in the month of September. This team fought their way back into the postseason race. I know that they floundered their way out of it ultimately, but the fact that they showed a little bit of life there in August, that means something to me. It's not exactly what we would have liked to see ultimately, but it shows you a little bit of heart in this team. And I think that is going to carry into next season. This team's going to play with some more pride, and hopefully the Giants can come out on top next year with a few more wins and end up being in that postseason. That's all the time that we got for you guys today on the Locked On Giants Postcast. That's all the time we got for this season on the Locked On Giants Postcast. No more Giants games until they take on the Yankees opening day next year to open all of Major League Baseball play. And of course, we'll be coming to you live like we always do. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in all season long. Appreciate all of you guys for hanging tough with us despite the turbulence of this season for the San Francisco Giants. It's been a long one, but ultimately the Giants finish at 81-81. Willy Adames gets the 30 home runs, and we can all put that discussion to bed. Logan Webb finishes the season leading the National League in strikeouts and innings pitched, and the Giants pyramid. Next year, we'll look for a little bit better results from the orange and black. That's all the time we got for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next season. Peace.